Hello, today our panorama is from Central Australia at the Uluru National Park. We have set up in the desert with an amazing late afternoon view to the huge rock formation known as Kata Tjuta. We are waiting for the sun to hit the formation itself just before that sun sets and turns it into an awesome red glow for the briefest of moments. So I shoot 10 images at a telephoto length on the vertical to capture all the details and its expansive setting. So we take the 10 images that we've got in our folder and we take those into Camera Raw in Photoshop. You can see here on the film strip on the left hand side the 10 images are coming in. Powerful amount of information. We select them all and then we merge to panorama. We have to keep in mind that when we shoot 10 images like this for a huge expansive panorama, it's going to take even a bit of time to have that panorama preview come up on your computer screen. It's dealing with so much information it needs to progress very slowly, even with a powerful computer. Now I have it automatically set on spherical, and I'm going to take the boundary warp right up to 100%. And I will check the foreground. So cylindrical will give me that a little bit more. I don't really need it. So I will pop it back to spherical, which is my usual setting and works most of the time. I'm happy with that, so I will merge it. We store that file into the folder where we've got the 10 images. And while it's building, as you can see down in the lower left, it's building very slowly because it is a massive image. We will do our sliders, my automatic ones that I go for first, the shadows, highlights, and the whites. And now I'm working on the gradient. I always like to put a gradient in, and sometimes they take a little bit more work than others. This one, I'm very careful how I select the temperature and how I select my tint. And I'm also going to do one from the bottom, and I'm going to change the color. The tint will come down to green, the temperature will go right up. And that way we get a darker edge to the desert floor itself. And you can see that by having the gradient at the top and the bottom, the middle part is brighter where our subject matter is. Now we're just adjusting the vibrance, the clarity, and the texture, and these sliders will differ with each panorama you do. We'll also go into the saturation, and I know that my grass is yellow and I want it really strong. I also want the greens there as much as possible. And now with the hue, I'm going to just tint those yellows and my greens just so that I've got a little bit more of the color coming through how I want it. I'm pretty happy with all that, so I'm going to open the image now. As you can see, it's been built, and that Camera Raw image will take us straight into Photoshop. One of the first things I'm going to look at is the image size. It's massive. Look at that, nearly 92 inches. We don't need to work with such a huge file because everything we'll do will take so long. So I'll drop that back by half, but I will not keep the height the same. I will make it a little bit higher. You can see there, it's absolutely beautiful. And we can work on some of the colors now, particularly the background where the sun has set. There's some colors in the sky that our camera has not been able to record. So by going into our colors, we can actually look at the sky itself, not the rest of the photo, fill that image with black once we've got the colors right, and then we can just with a brush at 100% bring those dusk colors back in. That's looking a lot better. We just need to go carefully around the boulders. Sometimes you need to zoom in on your photographs to just get it right and bring your brush size down. And here we can just bring those dusk colours, which are red and pink and yellow and orange, and they're against the horizon in the sunset there. Bringing those back in, it just makes the photograph stand out that much more. Sometimes I often like to just crib a little bit with the colour that's already there. So what I'm going to do is flatten this image, and then I'm going to go over to my colour picker and I'm going to select a red, but a very light red, almost indiscernible, and I'm just going to paint in a little bit more. We call this artistic license. The colours are there, we just want to highlight them slightly more. I'm also going to do something with the grass. I have to be very careful what sort of yellow I pick, kind of a light cream. Just watch our opacity. We can bring it up a little bit to about 10 or even 11%. You can see now I'm just going to highlight the grass through the middle ground, a little bit in the foreground. I also want to do the trees, the bushes, the highlights on the edges of those bushes. The sun's caught some of them. We just want to exaggerate that some more so that it looks even better. Again, this is artistic license, and some people don't want to do as much and other people want to do a lot more. I try to keep my photographs fairly realistic. Now at the bottom, just using the content aware tool, I'm going to brush out some of the bright grassy areas, and I will always often use the clone tool as well, just to get rid of some scrub that could be in there that I don't want. So here we go, over on the right side, I'm going to just clone this little bit of area out here, because I want, as you look along the front of the image, you don't want as much mess there as what the photograph has revealed. And you can do a lot of this, you can do a lot less. Now I'm just going to do a slight more vignette in the orange tone. Not much. Start way outside my photograph, angle it slightly both times so that the shadow goes out to the edges. There, that looks a lot better. And of course we can use a brush tool just to bring that look back some more. Again, with the family of colour that's on the desert floor, watching our opacity, keep it right down, and we can just come through again, take out the last little bit of shadow that might have been overdone, so that it's not too bright, but it's bright enough so that you can see all the details. Next thing I'm going to do is make a copy. In fact, I probably won't make a copy here, as we are working on the right side, and I'm going to use the saturation in the reds and change the hue a little bit. And then I will make the mask. I'll fill that with black. As you can see, I've altered the whole image and I don't want to do that. So I just get these boulders just right, fill it with black, select the brush tool in the normal mode and take it right up, and then very, very carefully, altering the size of my brush, I will paint back in the redness. Because actually it was captured a little bit too on the orange side, and when you look at it naturally, when you're out there photographing it, it actually looks a little bit darker. We're just trying to match it up with what we saw at the time. Now I'll make a copy. I'll go into my filters now, into the Nik software. I'm going to use Vivisa and structure. I've mentioned this before in my panorama presentations to you. Structure is amazing. Always overdo it. Always have a copy made for insurance. Click OK. Here we go. So of course that changes the whole image. We don't want that. So we make a vector mask. We fill that with black. We then grab the brush tool again, drop it back to about 80%, and then just bring the details in with that structure on the rocks. And to a lesser extent, I think I might just do the vegetation there in the middle ground. So I'll pop my opacity down to about half or even less than half, adjust my brush, and then carefully come through on the vegetation just to make that stand out some more. Okay, that's just about it. A stroke, clean white in the blue family of colour. On the inside, 2 pixels. Let's have a look at the black screen now. There we go. Really beautiful finish to this huge panorama. Okay, so we just save that in the folder where we've got all our other images. So we have the JPEG large file, we have the PNG, and we have another beautiful image to add to our collection. Uluru is an unbelievable place in the Australian outback. It has real significance for the local Indigenous Aboriginal people who live there. You can actually feel the spirituality as you move around this beautiful national park photographing, and the sheer magnificence of nature here in this wilderness. The panorama I shot of Kata Tjuta is just one of many that I took there, and hopefully my panorama of this dusk condition does the beautiful place some justice. It's a sumptuous viewpoint where we ended up, and taken at the best time of the day. Until next time, this is Ian Rolfe, and I thank you for watching.